Hi, today I'm going to be talking with you all about invasive species and the exploitation interference trade-off. As you've learned thus far, competition is a major factor that helps regulate population and community dynamics. Before we dive in, I want to introduce you to two types of competition that will be important to today's discussion. The first is interference competition, in which certain individuals interfere with the foraging, survival, or reproduction of other individuals via direct interactions. An example of this would be two lions fighting to defend a territory. The second type of competition is exploitation competition, which occurs when one group of individuals depletes a limiting resource and makes it less available to other individuals. An example of this can be seen in forests, where one tree will be taller than the others and thus deplete the amount of sunlight that the smaller saplings can receive. Now that we know the two types of competition, let's talk about how they work together in a community. Many scientists believe that to excel at one type of competition, let's say interference in this case, a species must possess characteristics specialized to carry out that type of competition. The downside to this is that those characteristics generally reduce the species' ability to compete via exploitative competition. This is called the exploitation interference trade-off. Now you might be asking, what are some ways that we can study this trade-off? Well, biological invasions by invasive species actually offer key opportunities to assess the role of competitive interactions in the structure of communities, since the level of competition is just so high. By studying groups of species that rely heavily on interspecific competition, we can determine if invasive species are subject to the exploitation interference trade-off or not. Let's take ant communities, for example. Interspecific competition plays a central role in ant communities, given that many different species often live in close proximity. The Argentinian ant is an invasive species native to South America, but widespread across much of the world's temperate areas. Through multiple experiments, a recent study showed that Argentinian ants both discovered and recruited food resources faster than native ants, making them superior at exploitative competition. Likewise, they were just as good at directly competing as native ants. By showing strengths in both types of competitions, scientists believe that invasive Argentinian ants are actually excluded from the exploitation interference trade-off. Thanks.